Okay, are you ready? Can you see my whiteboard?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So some problems on design for flexure. Hopefully, we'll do one of this and one W reinforcement we'll try to do. So this is the problem which I given. So this is all the details that will be given to you if design. What is the span? What is the load? And what materials you can use. Usually, only this much will be given to you, and you have to decide the dimensions of the beam as well as the reinforcement. Okay. So what you are given is here clear span and your loads. Okay. So you can start using your loads. So you have dead load. I will call it as DL. DL is 4. The live load or LL is 2. So which direction do both of these act?
Direction of gravity.
Direction of gravity. So basically the same direction. So I can actually, because both act in the same direction, I can actually. Oh, I have forgotten to give one detail. Say some 7 meters to another 5 meters. Okay. So if you see both of these are in kilonewton per meter square. Okay, so when you have a beam, you need everything in kilonewton per meter. Okay, so when the dead load and live load are given to you in kilonewton per meter square, you can convert it to a UDL, which is kilonewton per meter, by taking into consideration the width of the floor. So, for example, you have a beam. Okay, you have some floor like this. So beams are there, then the slab is there. Okay, so if I consider this beam, so width is 5 meters. This is 5 meters. So I will say that this much load will come onto this beam. Okay, the floor from this much will come onto this beam, which is nothing but the center of this to the center of this, which is 5 meters. Usually, you will be given a problem like this. Since I have not taught you till now floor design or slab design, I am directly giving you the width of the floor which you should consider, because I have not yet taught you slabs or floors. I have not yet taught you this. So therefore, I have directly given you the width of the floor, so which you have to multiply by in case your load is given in kilonewton per meter square. Otherwise, it will directly be given to you in kilonewton per meter. Okay, if it is given in kilonewton per meter, directly use it. If it is given in kilonewton per meter square, convert it to kilonewton per meter by multiplying with the width which contributes to the load on the beam. Okay, that I have directly given you in this question. Okay. So what is the total load in kilonewton per meter square? These two together. Four and two. What is the total? 6 kilonewton per meter square. Okay. Now, if I want to convert it to UDL or uniformly distributed load in kilonewton per meter, how much is it? When I convert this 6 kilonewton per meter square to UDL, how much will I get? The width over it, which it acts is 5 meters. How much kilonewton per meter?
30.
1.30.
30. Okay. So this is the load which is given to me. Can I just use this 30 or should I do something to this? Generally, what did I tell you? When you have a load, you have to
Multiply by 1.2.
You have to
Multiply by 1.2.
Multiply by
1.2, sir.
1 point how much?
1 point factor of safety, sir.
Yeah, how much is that?
I'll have to check, sir. 1 minute.
Okay.
1.5 or 1.2.
1.5. It's 1.5 because dead and live both are gravity direction. You can use 1.5. So factor load is 30 times 1.5, which is equal to 45 kilonewton per meter. Okay, so this is given to me, and let me assume that the beam is simply supported. Okay, it's a simply supported beam. So therefore, my design moment is, what is the formula if it's UDL simply supported beam?
WL square by 8.
WL square by 8, where L I have to use the effective span. Here only clear span is given to me. So generally you have seen that effective span is nothing but clear span plus effective depth. Okay, this we do not know yet, so you have to assume it. So we'll assume this is about 500 mm. Okay, let's just simply assume it doesn't matter. Even if you make a wrong assumption at this stage, it doesn't matter. So you just assume this is 500 mm. So my effective span becomes 7 plus 0.5, which is 7.5 mm. So I have to use this 7.5 over here. W is this. Okay, so how much do you get moment? WL E square by 8. How much do you get per moment?
316.4.
Okay, kilonewton meter.
Yes, sir. Kilonewton.
Okay. So others also check if you get 306.4 kilonewton per meter. So this effective depth which we have assumed, we can also.
Sir, it's 316.4.
316, sir. Okay, 316.4. So you have also another way to just consider this. What is it? The effective depth. So you can also consider it by, where did it go? Well, there I will show you later. So you have this, you saw yesterday's class, we had this ratios. Okay, for simply supported beam. Okay, so now we can make a check where we have the effective span, and it is the, just 1 minute. Okay. Okay, start. So this span is, for simply supported means it's 20. So if you can actually look at this, you can find this given in your SP16. So you have this span to effective depth of the member and some numbers. I showed you this in the previous class also. So whenever you start doing the beam problem, you can make sure your effective depth is conforming to this criterion. Okay, so we have assumed it is 500. Let's just check whether it is okay. So this is 7,000. By if I bring this 20 down, this becomes 350. So therefore, this is greater than 350. I can use this. Okay, I can use this for my effective depth. So I should have done this this step before it. I forgot. I should have done this step first. Then I should have done this. Okay. Anyway, so coming back to this, moment is there. So we have to design for this moment. We have to design for this moment. So how do we do it? Easiest way is first you will set it equal to your limiting moment. So this also you have to actually remember this. It's easier if you remember it. But even if you don't remember it, you have this table C. Okay. Using this table C, you can actually decide what your dimensions should be. Okay. So you will be set this equal to mu limit. You have to set this equal to mu limit. So what is my mu limit? You're able to see my PDF also, no? The Adobe. You're able to see anything on my screen, no? Whether it's a PDF or whether it's the whiteboard.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here we have this table mu limit by FCK by d square equal to some constant value. Okay. So this will depend basically on your grade of steel. So here I have used Fe 500. So I have to use mu limit equals 0.133 FCK BD square. Okay. So I say this m which I found, which I set as mu limit, should be equal to 0.133 FCK BD square. Okay. So I don't know B, I don't know D. So you'll have to assume something. Always the principle is to assume the breadth, don't assume the depth. Depth you have to calculate. So we'll assume breadth is the most common breadth to assume is 300 mm. Okay. So what is my moment? It is 316.4, my factored moment. Because I use the factored load, so it's called as factored moment. So this 316.4, it's in kilonewton meter. Please change it to Newton millimeter when you use this formula. So 0.133 FCK I have assumed for this problem as M30 concrete. So 30 into B I have assumed as 300 mm. So 300 into D square. So this gives me D equals how much? So 316.4 into 10 power 6 divided by 0.133 divided by 30 divided by 300. Take the square root of the whole thing. How much do you get for D?
So 514.12,
514.
sir.
Okay. Others?
Is a 5.
Yes, sir, the same. So,
514. Okay.
so 514.12, sir.
Okay, so I get from the strength known calculation, I get it as I should have 514 mm. Initially I assumed 500 mm. 14 mm, it's okay, it's not a big mistake. So I can just keep it as it is. Okay, I can keep it as 514 itself. Whatever I assumed initially from the purpose of this. So in order to calculate the effective span, I assume something, no? So it's not that much different. So I don't bother too much. I just leave it as 514 mm. Usually it's not a very good idea to give this kind of 514, 517, 511 mm and all. It's very difficult in the site for somebody to give 514 mm depth, effective depth. Okay, so 514 mm is the effective depth means, let me assume the overall depth Okay, so if I know effective depth and I know overall depth, okay, so I have already talked about this effective cover, clear cover, and all these things. So when I have an overall depth, how do you get the effective depth? You have cover value, you have overall depth, and you also have the diameter of the bar. Then how do you get
to minus
minus?
So minus the cover, and
Minus
then
the cover.
minus the radius of the steel.
Minus the radius of the steel. So you can also do the reverse. I know I found the effective depth. From this I can back calculate what should actually be my overall depth. Again, reinforcement size I don't know yet. So I'll just approximately assume that I probably should have an overall depth of 550 mm, probably. Okay. So I just given like this. A minor variation of 5 to 10 mm will not make much of a problem. Okay. So you don't need to go into that much of accuracy. Or let me assume it as 5, okay, let it be 550 mm itself. So overall depth 550 mm I have assumed. Okay. So this is the depth, effective depth that you have to provide. So one thing is done. You have found the effective depth. Now let us assume that we use 16 mm bar column. Assume 16 mm bars. Okay, you are going to use 16 mm bars. Then your actual depth would be, actual effective depth would be 550 minus, let's assume cover, clear cover 30 mm for moderate exposure. Unless something is specified to you in the question that it's a highly corrosive environment, or it's in the coastal area or something like that, always assume moderate exposure and take the appropriate clear cover. So minus 30 minus this by 2. Okay, this will be 550 minus 30, 520 and 512 mm. So this and this are more or less same, no issue. Okay, I can do. So this, I will use this as the effective depth for the actual effective depth. Okay, so one part is done. I have found the depth of the beam that I have to provide, 550 mm. Next thing I want to find is, I want to find the area of steel. Okay, next thing that we need to find is the area of tension steel. Okay, so again, you can actually either you can do this, but we have the mu limit. Okay, so you can in fact there is a formula which you can use. Okay, you can either remember this. So it goes like this: Pt Pt limit equals 50 FCK by Fy into, it's a big formula, but it actually comes from solving two equations. I'll come to that one. So 1 minus 4.598 mu limit by FCK b square. Okay, so this is the formula that you can use to find the percentage at area of steel that you provide in your for your given mu limit and for your given beam. Okay, so this is one thing that you can do, and you can so this formula, if you actually just for example, if you have here mu limit by FCK BD square is equal to 0.149, 0.138, etc. So you can in fact just substitute in this formula. So I have a formula here, mu limit. You can in fact just substitute this 0.133 FCK BD square right into this mu limit equation. Okay. So once you do that, you will be actually getting this. Okay, you will be getting this actually if you make that substitution. So those who are wondering how this thing came, that is how it comes. Okay, so since this is the first time that you're solving this kind of a problem, I am actually asking you to go by this formula. Okay, so you have FEK is known, Fy is known, 4.58 is always a constant, mu limit it's here, okay, 316.4 into 10 power 6, and everything else is known. B is 300 mm, D is 512 mm. Okay, you have just found it out now. So based on this, you can get the percentage of steel that is required. Okay, so I'll give you a couple of minutes. Solve this big equation. I mean, calculate this big equation. To help you, I'll probably write the values. This is 30. This is 500. This is 316 into 10 power 4. 10 power 6. Sorry. Again 30, 300, 512. Okay, so get me the percentage of steel. Once everybody is done, they can tell me.
$1.14.
Okay. Others also just try to get the same thing.
So 1.14.
Hmm? Yeah, how much do you get? How much do you get from this?
1.14.
1.14%. Okay, so this is in percentage. You would just have to convert it to area now. So that means AST is given by percentage is 1.14. So then you multiply it by the area. So 1.14 by 100 into breadth is 300 into depth is 512. Effective depth. So how much is the area that comes? How much area do you get? Yes.
1751.
So it's okay.
1751.
1?
751.
Oh, ignore that. Actually, okay.
So 1751, sir.
Sorry, yeah, okay, 1751. Just 514 into 300. ಜಾಸ್ತಿ. Okay. So we assume 16 mm bars now, 16 mm not 200. 9 bars are not. Very working. Estimate 18 500. 7 into 30 by 500. Okay. So actually, no, we assume 16 mm bars. I don't think that will be enough. See, 116 mm bar, its area is, if you do pi d square by pi into 16 square by 4, you get 201 mm square. So one bar is 200 mm square. So how many bars do you need to give for this? In that case,
8 bars.
you'll have to give almost more than 8 bars. Okay, so that will not be such a great thing to do. Yeah, so that will not be such a great idea, giving 8 or 9 bars. So rather, I'll just assume instead of 16, maybe 25 mm, which gives one AS is 5 into 490. Even this is 490. This is one. 490. So one is 490 mm square. So if I use 25 mm bars, how much do I need to make up for 1751? I need a total of
Around 4, sir.
4. Yeah, 4 will go to, it will 4 times, this will be 4 into 490. Also 960, that's also a bit too much. See, one thing is, see, I need 1751 mm. If I give much more than this, what is the problem? I need see, basically I assumed it to be a limiting section, and I have found all this. I found the depth, I found the area of steel required, and I found it to be 1751 mm square, based on the assumption that this is a limiting condition. If I give instead of 1750, if I give too much more, what happens? If I give too much more steel, then what's required? What condition do you end up with? You will get end up with that over-enforcing. That also should be avoided. So 4 numbers of 490 also becomes 1960. Okay, so there's a big risk you may become over-enforced if you give 4 numbers of 490 also. So in such a case, you will have to be a bit creative, and so probably
So,
what I
so don't check.
yeah.
Sir, sir, in that actually you assume that the effective cover like 30 and the actual like 116 by 2, sir. When we consider 25 mm bar, the actual
It will change a bit.
sir, so
It will change a bit. Yeah, it will change a bit. For example, this D will become, instead of 512, it will become 508 or something like that. Okay, so you'll get a small difference in this, but this small difference will not make much of a big difference in the PT limit. So this change will make only a small difference. It will make a difference, yes, but it will be relatively small difference. Okay, so see, when you do design, you will have to make a lot of changes. So it doesn't make much sense in revising everything just because of small changes that you get. Okay, as long as it is not very bad, you can just go ahead with it. So I'm actually trying something else now. I'm trying two numbers of 25 mm and 3 into 201. 603 plus 1583. Okay, so I have okay, this also. I'm just trying to find a good solution for this. 980 plus 2 into 3 into 340. Okay, so I have come up with solution like this. So sometimes it requires a bit of iteration. So I assumed two numbers of 20 diameters and two numbers of 20 diameter. Okay. So 872. No problem. Okay, I'll leave it to you. See, these are the data that we have. Why don't you tell me? 25 mm bar gives AS is 490. For 20 mm bar, it is 342. 28 mm, it is 615. And 16 mm bar is 201 mm square. Okay. Can you come up with some combination which gives you close to 1751? Say two numbers of 25 and three numbers of 16, or any combination that you think will work. 12 mm is 130. Let me see how you people address this. These are the areas of the bars. You can actually remember these values.
Sir,
Yeah.
2 bars of 25 mm and then 4 bars of 16 mm will give us 1784.
Oh, really? Okay, very good. Okay, what is that? Two numbers of
25 and 4 numbers of 16.
4 numbers of 16. Okay.
Yes.
So this gives how much?
1784.
Oh, okay, very good. I didn't think of that. So this is why whenever I'm confused, I should probably give it to you people. So you can actually adopt it. This is good enough. It's almost close to 1751. I don't have much of a risk of becoming over reinforced. Okay. So yeah. So the bars are found. The total number of bars is 600. Okay. Total bars are 6. Then my width of beam is 300. Okay, the width that I have, and if I subtract out the clear cover, so this is my beam. I'll draw the beam now. Okay, so I have 6 bars. So always keep the bigger bars on the edges and the smaller ones in between. Okay, so you can do this, and this is how much? This is 300. This is I don't know, we took it as 512. It will be slightly different than that. This is 512, and of course I've given clear cover 30. So meaning that this is 240, the in between part. Okay, so this is 240 mm. Let me say inner width of the beam. So now my spacing of the bars should be nothing but 240 divided by, there are total number of 6 bars. So therefore, when I try to find the space between them, I'll do 6 minus 1. Okay. So how much is this? So the center of this bar to the center of this bar is from 240 mm. There are a total of 6 bars. So the 6 bars spaced equally within a distance of 240 will be given by this spacing, 240 by 6 minus 1. So how much do you get for this?
48, sir.
How much? 48, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 48 mm. So now you can, if you remember the previous class, we had some restrictions regarding the spacing of the bars. For example, the spacing should be more than the greatest of aggregate size plus 5, then a diameter of the largest bar. So the diameter of the largest bar is 25 mm, 48 is greater than that. Mostly we may be taking 20 mm aggregates, so it is also more than that also. So this spacing is okay. So I'll just now mark what we have. We have, so you can just mark it like this. Whatever you taken, 2 numbers of 25.5 plus 4 numbers of 16 diameter bars. Okay, and also write the grade and the of steel and concrete within this. Okay, so you can just do it like this. I'll probably give another problem for you for practice. Okay, I actually wanted to start double reinforced also, but so the remaining time what I'll rather do is I'll also show the same problem done based on the SP16 chart. Okay, so this is you've done it manually. You can also do the same problem using SP16 1980. Okay, you can also do this. All right. Now, only thing in SP16 is now this is our SP16. Okay. So in fact, I had already used this table to do my manual calculation as well. I used this MU limit by FCKBD square. I used PT limit by. Okay, I didn't use this. I'll use this now. Okay. So all these things I have used. So maximum percentage of tensile reinforcement also we have a table over here. Okay. So we see we took M30 and FE500. So 1.13. We were a little bit over it. Probably we should have given a little bit less. We should have probably given 1.13 as the thing. But anyway, it changed a little bit because we had. I mean, it's usually that table is a bit conservative. Here, what you get 1.14, you got there. It's listed as 1.13. That's the only difference. Okay, so yeah, so this is my SP16, and of course these things you know. So let me go down. You have charts. If you see, you will have a lot of charts. So for example, every chart will have, it is for a specific value of Fy, specific value of FCK, and a specific effective depth, range of effective depth. So what we had now is we had FE 500, FCK 30. I don't think we have charts. I think we have only till 25. Yeah, so we don't have charts for our FCK value. But anyway, what this chart will have is will have effective depth. Okay, it will have reinforcement percentage 100 into area of steel by BD, and this value which is shown over here is the moment which you are designing for. Okay, it's the moment which you are designing for. So based on this moment, you can just choose any effective depth. It's in centimeters, so you can choose 27. If you choose 27 as the effective depth if you want, and your moment is 200 180 kilonewton meters. So you go from here, you go up to 180. This is where it meets. Then similarly you come up, you come down along 180, and you can pick out what is the percentage of steel that you require. Okay, so you can either use the chart like this, just use the graph, select the required value of moment which you are designing for, choose any effective depth, and then for that effective depth you can just go down and see what percentage of steel that you need. So the charts are available only for till M20 grade, I suppose, or M25 grade. It's not there for, it's in fact only till M20. It's not there for higher grades of concrete. But for higher grades of concrete, you have the table. Okay, it's in terms of ME by BD square and Fy. These values inside the table, they give you what is the percentage of steel that you're supposed to give. Okay, so I think we are somewhere at the limit. So if I use the same thing by SV16, what is my MU limit? It is 316.4. Okay, so my MU was 316.4 into 10 power 6. I want, so for this, using this table, we need to have MU by BD square. Okay, which is nothing but 316.4 into 10 power 6 divided by these 300. And what was the original effective depth that we assumed? Originally, we assumed effective depth is 500 mm. Okay, this is what we had assumed originally. Okay, so let us just use that. So how much do you get for this factor? How much do you get this factor?
$4.22.
How much?
4.22.
2 point?
4.22, sir.
Oh, okay. I think we'll be outside the table mostly in that case. Let me see. 4.22. Okay. I think better we should have assumed a bigger depth. Okay, 4.22 for 500. I'm not sure I will have that in the table. This is FCK 25. FCK 25. Oh, we don't have for FCK. Okay, here it is FCK 30. Okay, in fact, for our table ends at 4 for every 500. Okay, meaning that actually, according to that table, it says it's not possible to have a under reinforced section for 500 mm effective depth. So that's what this thing is actually saying. So anyway, we have designed on the border for this problem. We are exactly on the problem border that we have designed, and found our this depth which we had taken, 514. So we have actually designed it right on the border. So anyway, you can, in this case, what you can do is, if you don't have a value over here, so if you look over here, these are the values of MU by BD square: 2.8, 2.85, 3, 3.3, 3.83, all the way till 4.45. But if you look at every 500, the last value that I have is 1.118, which corresponds to MU by BD square equal to 395. Okay, so this is what it is actually corresponding to, meaning that what we got for our MU by BD square is 4.22. Okay, which is not there, meaning that if I have to give more than this, I'm going to become over reinforced. So what I would rather do is, if you don't get that value in this table, you have to increase the depth. So probably what I'll do is I can make it as, say, 550 square. So if I make it 550 square, what do I get for my effective depth? In this case, what is MD by BD square? Does it come below 4? Does this come below 4?
3.48, sir.
Okay, 3.48. Okay, I've gone very less. Okay, fine. 3.48. So you can just go back there and see. 3.45, 3.5 I have. So in between that, it's 0.942 and 0.959. So probably 0.95. Okay, so I get PT is 0.95% if I used 550. And based on this, you can do AST equals PT into BD by 100, and you'll get something square. Okay, and then you can, once again, based on these things, you can choose the most closest value of the AST which you get. Okay, so this is only the first problem, so don't bother too much if some things are not clear. And also the problem I chosen was probably not a very good problem. Okay, I should have probably been a little bit more lenient on the depth. Okay, so anyway, don't worry about it. Anyway, for the next 2 or 3 classes, you will be doing problems only. You'll be doing problems on slabs and doubly reinforced beam. We'll do one more singly reinforced beam also to make it clear. Okay. So this I wanted to introduce the process to you, and I've done that. So from Wednesday again, we'll just